Hello, and welcome to this installment of Vantage Point, a speaker series hosted by the Worldwide College of Business. This year, Vantage Point is exploring the intersection of people, technology, and business innovation, uh, all of which are critical elements in shaping the future of aviation. As technology advances and market dynamics shift, strategic decision-making in aviation manufacturing obviously has never been more important. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from Santiago Saltos. He's the Regional Safety Director for Latin America and the Caribbean at Airbus. His journey and his expertise in aviation safety and operational risk management offers really valuable insights into the challenges and opportunities shaping the manufacturing sector of the aviation industry. Santiago has dedicated his career to enhancing aviation safety, working closely with industry stakeholders to drive safety initiatives across the Latin America and the Caribbean regions. With experience at Airbus and Alta, as well as leadership roles in aviation safety organizations, he brings a unique perspective on balancing regulatory compliance, risk mitigation, and indeed aviation and innovation in aviation manufacturing. So Santiago, welcome. We're honored to have you here today. Thank you for taking the time to be with us this afternoon. And then today we're doing something really unique for the first time. Today's discussion will be co-moderated by none other than Christopher Mondell. He's an assistant professor of the practice in our college at Embry-Riddle. And Krista Foster, please welcome her, a senior at Embry-Riddle Worldwide, pursuing a BS in aeronautics with a focus on aviation safety and management. Professor Mondell brings decades of experience in enterprise risk management, while Krista, as an Army veteran and student leader, provides a future-focused perspective on this industry, which is so important to all of us. So they will together guide today's conversation, posing initial questions before we open the floor for live audience participation. And on that note, we encourage you to be part of this conversation. And you can be part of the conversation by submitting your questions using the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen, and we will address them during the discussion. So without further ado, Chris and Krista, welcome both, and thank you for being here this afternoon. I'm going to turn the floor over to both of you, so please take over.
Thank you, Dean Sharma, and good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, Krista, and welcome. And good afternoon, Santiago. Great to have you with us today. So I'm going to start this off with the first question, and then I'm going to hand it off to Krista, who will be the main interviewer and discussion lead, if that's okay. So Santiago, you've been you had such an impressive journey in aviation, from your work with the industry stakeholders and to your leadership in aviation safety. I'm sure our audience is very curious. How did you first get started in aviation, and how did your background enable you to get to where you are today?
Well, thank you, Chris, and thank you, Krista. Dr. Sharma, thank you for the warm welcome. Well, it's an honor for me to be here, and it's such a pleasure to be part of this community. For your information, I am a proud Eagle alumni. I graduated back in 2005 with a business administration in airline management at the Daytona Beach campus. So it's always an honor to be back here and bringing back some of the experiences that I've been able to gain, and thanks to Embry-Riddle. So Chris, going to your answer, I was pretty much born into aviation. My father, I'm originally from Ecuador in South America, and my father was an Air Force pilot. So after he retired from the Air Force, he decided to open his own business as a flight school, and that business became to grow one of the largest aviation companies in the country, where I was born into it. So pretty much I had no option. But since it was in my veins, I decided to embark in this journey. And after Embry-Riddle, one of the areas that I wanted to explore was understand more how the industry runs, especially in the region. And I got the opportunity to start as an intern at the Latin American Air Transport Association, ALTA, which is the association that gathers all the airlines from Latin America. And this was really a great opportunity for me to learn about not only the industry, but the challenges that airlines have, from the low cost, the legacy carriers, the state-owned airlines, and also getting into that area that's a little bit blurry when you're in school, which is the regulatory framework and the regulatory aspect of it. So I got to get involved with authorities, and through the association, I was involved in different campaigns to represent the industry and pretty much help the industry promote and expand. Latin American region, putting into perspectives, if we compare to the US 300 million um, habitants. In Latin America, it's 400 million. But if you consider the amount of operations, the US pretty much is the biggest aviation operation in the world. Where Latin America, not so much. Um, and so there's a big potential of growth of the industry there, and that got me into learning different aspects of the industry. Where at the end, I landed in aviation safety. I'm a pilot, and at the time, there was an opportunity for me to expand since I had already explored other areas. Um, Leadership at that time offered me this opportunity, and that was one of the biggest blessings that I've had, being to get involved in safety. And when we talk safety, sometimes it might sound a bit vague, but when you see the real concept behind it, why we do it, that is to save human lives, it's a really life-changing opportunity. And I was very young at the time when I started this back in 2010, and I got to work with experts and professionals today are my friends and mentors that have been in the industry for 30, 40 years. So that really ignited me an opportunity to learn about the importance of this activity, and especially in the current context where we are right now. And after being able to work with different organizations, states, airline associations, and OEMs at the time, I got the opportunity to Airbus saw in me that I could come and bring value to their program. And I'm continue learning my career. It is a never-ending learning opportunity, and Airbus has been a huge blessing as well. I'm very proud to be part of Airbus, and because of everything that Airbus does in safety. So that's kind of in a nutshell how I am here today.
Oh, very good. Well, I can identify on at least two levels and probably more. I'm a son of a Navy pilot, and as head of risk for major corporates for most of my career, safety was always a direct or indirect responsibility of mine. So I appreciate what you like about it. I also appreciate aviation now that I've taken a 3-year deep dive into it since I came to the university. So great to have you with us today. Thank you for that. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Krista to take it from there.
Great.
Hi, yes, thank you so much, Chris. And Santiago, it is such an honor to have you with us today. Your leadership has had a significant impact on safety and risk management. And I'm sure you found throughout your career that in aviation, safety is not just about regulations and technology. It's about people and, the
Exactly.
culture that they create. So from your experience, how does Airbus prioritize safety while balancing business pressures in aircraft manufacturing? And also, can you give some examples of employees at all levels that contribute to maintaining and enhancing safety standards?
Thank you, Krista. And I love what you said, that it's about putting the human in first. And
Exactly.
and actually, before coming into Airbus, I was able to get my certification as a life coach, and that gave me a really good perspective about the importance about working with people. So much of the work that I do, and the reasons why I'm very proud of Airbus, is because safety is really a commitment. We see normally in organizations when you go and go into an airline or talk to some airline reps, even government reps, when you ask them where is safety, and everybody says safety first. That's the normal. But when you really ask, is it safety first? When you have to do investments, when you have to train your people, when you have to do the hard work, when you have to prioritize putting a revenue flight uh, rather than grounding because there might be a safety concern, you see that around, and with that I just want to highlight that flying today is safer than ever. But the reason that I see that my values really resonate with what Airbus offers is because the way the organization it's a structure. um, our head of safety, who's in charge of the safety program for the whole Airbus group, he reports directly to the CEO level. So if there's anything that we might see that could put at risk any operation or production, we from the safety side, we have a way of saying stop. And we have been able to see this in the past where we have had some issues with some engines, and we have been able to raise our hands and without interfering with our colleagues in engineering. Airbus has a way on making a position and standing on it if there's a safety concern. Also, from the line of work that I do, I have no commercial activity. All the work that we do, it's for the sake of safety. And in Airbus, we have a criteria where we work in three areas. We are making sure that we have, of course, safe aircraft. That's the first area where we work together and partner together with our engineers, making sure that our aircrafts are constantly enhancing their technology, and I speak more about that later. Then we want to make sure that these aircraft are operating safely. And here is where we work where we partner with airlines, where we are constantly in contact with them. We're seeing if they're having any challenges, if we're seeing that they might need some support in training or support in sharing best practices. We will provide this to the airlines. And this goes to any operator that has an Airbus in their fleet. Uh, Being this a brand new coming from the factory or an aircraft that's a third generation that's still operating. We will be supporting any customer that has an Airbus aircraft. And the third area where we work is making sure that these aircraft are operated in a safe transport system. So here is where we partner with international organizations and governments and our regulators, where if there's also any support that we can do, we can provide to inspectors that do the oversight of operations, and that we can come in and partner with them. It's a way of also how we make sure that we we complete all the air transport system is safe. So that give you an idea of why I see, and that's the culture that Airbus has. And going to your second question, we are, especially right now after COVID, we have seen, and we're seeing this all across the air transport system. We need to take into consideration that um, throughout commercial aviation history, we have had even though we have grown very fast. I remember 2010, we were talking about projecting of doubling operations by 2020, and we made it. We did it, and this was done in a fast growth pace. And Airbus has been able to meet this. But if we jump to 2020, where not only at an OEM, but also at the airlines, at the ATC, at the regulators, we saw how the aviation stopped, and many people were offered these early retirement plans. Many of them took that, and you see probably 55-year-olds that had already 10 more years to work. You lost 10 years of experience in a snap of your fingers. And as you know, in many areas, pilots, technicians, we need that experience. So because of that, we are doing a lot of work in trying to improve the ways that we do training for pilots, for technicians, the material that we use, implementing new technologies, virtual reality, and stuff like that. But it's also a challenge. We're trying to do everything that we can from our position, but there's a lot more that we need to. Also, how do we manage the safety culture within Airbus? This is like I said before, the message comes from the top. And we have an internal plan, a communication plan where we are promoting safety constantly. We launched in 2023 our Safety Promotion Center, which is an activity, an hour, 1 hour activity where we are showing our employees how everyone's role is in safety. I've seen this in the airlines as a former airline as well. When there's a safety issue, and you're asking maintenance or flight ops, and you say, look, here's a safety issue. They say, no, go talk to the safety guys. That's the safety guys. The same happens normally in other areas. So what Airbus is trying to do is that everyone has a role in safety, and the safety promotion has allowed us to expand that. We have even brought airlines and governments to visit it, and they have been so impacted by it that many of them are replicating their own promotion centers because they see the value.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we have a speak up culture. We have different channels where we can report, and this is offered from you can report to your supervisor, to your manager, or you can do anonymous reporting. So this gives us a lot of opportunity to understand if there's something that might not be going well, that we are able to have a good speak up culture. So that kind of sums up. But this gives you an idea of how Airbus runs the safety program.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. You brought up amazing points. And one thing that stands out to me is how aviation safety is constantly evolving. I mean, you briefly mentioned it as well, referring to COVID and how we had to adapt. So just as a strong safety culture is built through accountability at every level, which you discussed, the shift towards sustainability requires that same industry-wide commitment. And even through my coursework at Embry-Riddle, I've seen the benefits of using sustainable aviation fuels and hydrogen-powered aircraft as well. And while these innovations are exciting, I often wonder how manufacturers ensure that they meet safety standards before implementation. So, given the growing focus on sustainability in aviation and also the increasing pressure to reduce the industry's carbon footprint, how does sustainability play a role in Airbus's long-term strategy? And also, as new materials, fuels, and aircraft designs are integrated, how do safety protocols adapt to meet those environmental goals without compromising safety?
So that's a very interesting question, Krista, because we've been challenged because of the enhancements that we make in our products, where they are putting in question our safety uh, role in this. And I can tell you first, coming from the safety side, I can tell you, and not as an Airbus employee, but as Santiago Saltos and a safety professional, that when I see a commitment, I can vouch for Airbus, because I can tell you, when we meet with leadership and when we are in our meetings, there's nothing that Airbus will produce or do if safety is not first. And our purpose as Airbus is we pioneer sustainable aerospace for a safe and united world. And our vision for safety is we constantly strive to enhance safety together in our quest to reach zero accidents. So we are in a quest, and I want to focus on that word. A quest is not something that you can. There's not a guided line for that. A quest is something that you're constantly seeking to do. So for that, I can tell you that Airbus first, before even finances, they will put safety first, and I will guarantee that. Um, so now moving into the sustainability, and this is a huge area that actually We just had our Airbus Summit happening this week in Toulouse, where we have 2 days with media and different representatives from around the world, and we share our current plans and the future developments, and it was shared there. As a priority, we have the environment in mind. Sustainability is definitely that it's something that we need to address. It's something that we need to focus on. And we will do our part, what we can do as a manufacturer. However, the path is it's challenging, but it involves to involve the different stakeholders. So from an Airbus standpoint, we work in five different areas in terms goals to meet sustainability. The first one is the latest generation of aircraft. If we think about how much we have improved in that area, and this I would dare to include all the industry. I mean, if we look back to 1960 and to the modern planes today, we have been able to reduce almost 80% of reduction in fuel consumption. So just putting that into context, the amount of aircraft that we're operating right now. Last year we closed with 33 million flights a year. So that's, as you can see, that's a lot. If we put that into smaller figures, only Airbus aircraft, we have 41,000 flights per day. We carry 6 million passengers a day, and in a year we carry 2.2 billion passengers. So in 2 years, 2 to 3 years, or if we account the whole industry, we are carrying in 2 years the population of the world. So we are doing a lot, and we have improved a lot, and we only represent 2%, 2 to 3% of the CO2 emissions.
Wow.
If you account that, and adding to that, the transport. If we add our colleagues, ground transportation, train, and ships, only ground transportation accounts for 16%. So if we put that and think about that, because we as aviation, we are heavily penalized, we're heavily demanded, and we are put in the line to do these huge investments, which we are willing to do. We wanna meet the deadline of 2050 to reach net carbon zero. But again, we need to partner for this. That goes into our second area. We have disruptive technology, and you guys have seen the Zero E program. That's a program. It seeks to use hydrogen as a propulsion fuel for the next generation aircraft. This week was really fascinating because if we're seeing how we have become so efficient with the newer engine. You just have to look at the width of engines that we had, for instance, the 737, 727s, and how they have become to us today. So now we have huge engines, and for these guys to be more efficient, they need to be wider. But the designs that we have right now, the A320, it has reached its limit to meet the goals of the future. So for that, we need to go back to scratch, and we are in the progress of research and development for these new technologies. I could talk a lot about those, but you can find more information about it on the web, or if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. But the other area that it's important to meet this, we need to work on operations and infrastructure. Here we do have some support. We do offer some solutions for this, where we are heavily relying on navigation, air navigation, satellite air navigation, the use of and design of PBN, and improve the way that operations are done, or flights. One of the big problems that we have, especially in Latin America, and I know some other parts of the world, is that many countries have this way of protecting their airspace, and sometimes this affects and impacts direct routing and direct flights. And so for that, we have solutions. We are constantly working also with regulators, with ANSPs, and see how we can improve the air navigation. And the hot topic that everybody talks about right now is SAF, sustainable aviation fuels. So for that, and that accounts for the biggest part of the whole impact if we want to reach the net zero. But for that, we need to work with regulators. We need to work with governments. Today, the production of SAF is not uh, sustainable enough to have an economic alternative. We are equipping our aircraft. We are doing flights with SAF today as part of our continued R&D. But that still needs we still need a lot of work on that field. And again, as a manufacturer, we're doing everything that we can, but we need to partner with the rest of the stakeholders. Um, and the last thing is offsetting. So if you put all of these elements, all of these five elements in the pile, we have a lot of room to go, and we're seeking to reach there. But again, we cannot partner alone in this venture.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it really sounds like technology is transforming safety in ways that honestly we couldn't have even imagined. So, predictive maintenance and digital twin simulations and automation, those are the things right now that are redefining aircraft performance. And from my perspective, as a student minoring in aviation safety, one of the most exciting developments is the use of predictive maintenance, and it can help anticipate mechanical failures before they even happen. So, from your opinion and your perspective, how are new technologies such as predictive maintenance improving aircraft reliability and passenger safety?
So yeah, Krista, we have been at Airbus for the past 6 years now. We launched a program that's called Skywise. I don't know if you're familiar, if you have heard of it. Uh, Pretty much Skywise is a big data program that connects not only through the through Airbus, but through other different OEMs and the airline. And through the Skywise platform, we're able to gather uh, on time on time information that will be able to feed not only the airline but the OEMs when a component or a part might be failing. So this gives us a lot of information, a lot of data to be able to have this predictive maintenance. A maintenance department could already have a work already in the planning when the plane is still flying. Um, so that definitely has a very a big impact in safety. But additionally to predictive maintenance, when we're talking about technology that we're able to use today is mind-blowing to see the amount of information that it's been able to produce through different data sources. For instance, in Latin America, and I'm gonna take off my Airbus hat and I'm gonna put my Regional Aviation Safety Group uh, cap. This is an ICAO group where I am the co-chair for the Regional Aviation Safety team, where through this group we are able to gather the aviation community where we have all the OEMs, Airbus, Boeing, ATR, Embraer. You have the airlines, you have IATA, you have the Airline Association, you have the airlines attending, you have the regulators, you have the FAA, you have ANAC from Brazil, you have all of this large community where we take off all uh, our our organization's hat and we put our safety hat. So through this group, we've been able since 2015, we've been able to analyze information coming up from data. So this data comes from the FDM or directly from the data recorders from the aircraft. These are de-identified completely, and through a program that IATA has. And at this group, we've been able to monitor and target the different high risk categories that we have. If you guys are not familiar, the high risk categories, as ICAO has identified them, um, we work on the four main risks that cause the highest fatality risk, which is control flight into terrain, loss of control in flight, mid-air collision, and runway excursions. So
Oh, wow.
through this group, we're able to see this information and we're able to identify where are hotspots in the region where we have precursors that could potentially end in one of these categories. And I can tell you it's mind blowing because of this information we've been able to identify areas in some approaches where we have identified high resolution advisories, for instance. And this is not only by one airline, it's by different airlines that have had the same problem. And because of that, we have been able to identify this and partner up with the right stakeholders and, for instance, do a redesign of the approach. And after doing this redesign, the resolution advisories have decreased considerably. So that's just one of the examples that we can do today with data to mitigate risk. But I can tell you, as proud of my region that I am, this is the first region worldwide that can do this. However, we are not doing this because we made it up. Actually, the US has been doing this since 1997 through the Commercial Aviation Safety Team. So we've had a huge support from the FAA on the guidance and sharing best practices with what we're doing with the RAS-PA, which has been in place since 2008. I've been proud to be part of it since 2011 through my previous position and now through my position in Airbus. So this is again an example of how it connects with what I mentioned in my original presentation on how Airbus is involved. We are trying to get involved in as much as activities as this, where we can provide with resources and our knowledge and our experience. But from an Airbus side, we are also monitoring how our operations are managed through some of the information that we get from Skywise. We are also being able to see if there are any challenges or difficulties or practices that we need to put an eye on closer in an airline, where probably the process that they're performing is not the optimal. And from a safety standpoint, we just need to see how they're managing. If they're managing it because they need uh, more training, we will provide that for them. So yes, to answer your original question, we are constantly monitoring all of that to be able to improve safety through the use of technology.
That is so interesting. And the data and analytics, it's giving us deeper insights than ever before. And I think one of the most critical factors is essentially how manufacturers are integrating these advancements into the decision-making processes. So, how do innovations like predictive maintenance shape decision-making in aviation manufacturing?
I'm gonna give you something that's even that connects with that as part of that technology that we are constantly looking to develop. And this is in operation. For instance, the ROPS system. ROPS was introduced almost to 15 years ago. And what ROPS is, it's a technology that it's similar to the TCAS in a way, where it gives alerts to the pilot. But the ROPS, what it does, it gives the pilot information about the runway condition and the runway remaining when the pilot's is performing a landing.
Mhm.
Um, ROPS will be able to tell the pilot if the pilot needs to do a go around. We can definitely see since the implementation of ROPS, how ROPS has been able to mitigate runway excursions. And one of the things that we are now embarking on with our partners in AppBlue, which is a sister company of Airbus, um, we are engaging with a program that's called Runway Sense, where Runway Sense, what it does, it connects with ROPS and it gives information to the tower. What runway sense, it captures if the runway has contamination, if it's wet, if it's right, temperature, and all of this information that will give information to the tower that will connect to other pilots as well, to other planes in the area, and it will be giving immediate information that will also give more awareness and will give more important information and reliable information for pilots to make a decision in the landing phase. As you know, it's one of the most critical areas of the flight.
Wow. So, of course, with the increased use of this technology that you're explaining, it comes the challenge of security. And this makes protecting aircraft systems from cyber threats more important than ever, in my opinion. So, as commercial aircraft become more digitally connected, how do manufacturers address cybersecurity threats that could impact these safety critical systems?
So that's a very good question, Krista, because we, of course, cybersecurity is it's also a hot topic today, and as Airbus, it's doing a lot of work in this area as well. We are seeing right now GNS spoofing, which is also a topic that's related to this, and what we're seeing is that many, especially all of these threats that we're seeing right now, it depends on the region where they are. We are being able, first of all, to put in place a secure system that makes sure that the interference from non-approved uh, signaling it's taken care of, and we're doing tirelessly efforts to constantly improving this. And we haven't seen an event of this type that has a passed the different protection roles that we have implemented. The only thing that we are seeing is a GNS spoofing, which happens normally in war zone areas. We're seeing some of this in the Middle East. We're seeing this in Western Europe. But again, we're constantly monitoring and trying to mitigate this as much as possible.
Yeah, and thank you for explaining that. I'm sure that's a huge challenge that we will overcome and use the technology to its best ability without any intervention, a negative intervention that could prevent its usability. So, one of the most critical aspects is learning from previous incidents to prevent future ones in aviation safety. And we have seen that organizations within the industry have applied lessons learned from history to improve their safety protocols. So, that said, how do aircraft manufacturers apply lessons from past aviation incidents or near misses to enhance future aviation safety and risk management strategies?
So, Krista, part of the areas. This is a great point that you highlight because this is well connected with the safety culture that Airbus has. We have we have we're constantly seeking for a very close relation with our customers in order for them to report. We try to promote this as much as possible. Not even from, of course, accidents we will get involved, but even incidents or minor incidents or even events, because all of that gives us information on how the fleet is operating. Through many of these events, we have been able to come up with improvements in our systems, improvements in our technology, enhancements in our technology. And as aviation, I'm not going to talk as Airbus, but as aviation industry, unfortunately, we have learned through many accidents. And
Mhm.
the spike of accidents we had between the 60s, the 70s, they gave us the only positive things of those events were that we were able to learn a lot, and many technology was able to develop because of that, like the TCAS resolution advisory, which is one of the best technologies that we have out there, especially now today that we need it more. With airspace being with operations spiking, we already reached and surpassed by little 2019 levels, but with very reduced, like I said before, reduced experience resource that we had. So I believe that we will be continue having more challenges, and more than ever, we need to look closer to this. But going back to your question, we have, and this is something that I invite everyone to see if you haven't seen it before, we have a magazine that's called Safety First. It's a free magazine online. There's also an app. If you just go on Google, Airbus Safety First, you will be able to download it. We launched the Airbus Safety First in the mid 90s. It was a printed version back then. But in the app, you will be able to see every article that we have come up and developed, which has a lot of information. And many of these articles come from events where we, as I said, we are looking to learn and and see and constantly use, even for training, even for improving the ways that we do. So we are always constantly seeking to improve, and it's through events that we get to learn from. And I can tell you, this is more of a personal perspective. Back in 2019, I thought we had it all covered. But after COVID, we're starting seeing these many events that they were mind blowing, like having airliners being taken off with the pitot tube covers on. And so this is something that you would have never imagined that could happen, but yes, this is happening, or this has happened. We have an article on Safety First about an event of that. So we have many recommendations, and through the Safety First magazine, we are constantly sharing events that where we have learned and where we can continue constantly improve the ways that we operate.
Yeah, that's a really great strategy to have. And as we look toward the future of aviation safety, it's essential for the next generation of professionals to be prepared to contribute to these ongoing efforts that you've explained here. And many students, including myself, are interested in careers related to aviation safety. And based on your experience, what key skills or industry trends should students focus on to essentially prepare for a future in this field?
Well, first of all, Krista, I really honor you, and because you have taken the responsible role of embarking in the safety journey. Like I said, I think that it's a very honorable area. I think it's very different from the rest of the areas in an airline. Um, this safety, it's a living program within an organization. Call it airline, call it authority, you name it. But why is it a living organism within the airline? Because it's not, you can have all the tools that you have, but having the safety mindset, if you don't have it, it takes time for you to understand and
Yeah.
to foster it and own it. So my recommendation for any of you that are interested in learning or engaging in this path is be open-minded first. Try to understand as much as you can of all the operational domains within an airline. It's important to we have been safety guys. We have been put in this idea that we are that this is a flight ops activity, and that it only involves pilots, and that there's nothing more wrong than that. Safety, as I said before, everyone has a role in safety, from human resource. Why human resource, you would say? Because it's human resource who make the decisions of the profile of the people that they're hiring for certain specific roles. So they have a role in safety, a huge role in safety. Talking about finance, what I said before. Do I invest in buying new equipment, or do I invest in training my people? Okay, you need to make a decision on that. Where's your priority? Just to name some examples. So I think it's very important for you to have an open-minded visibility, especially in the operational domains, uh, flight ops, training, maintenance and engineering, quality, safety, ground ops, you name it. As much as you can engage in these different domains and perceive and understand if the process is right, why people are there, how people are reacting. How is leadership in this place? Are these people having the resources that they need? When I say resources, for instance, maintenance. Many of the maintenance in the line is done at evening. Are these people having the right equipment? Are these people having the right tools to
Yeah.
have a safe environment? Because I've seen airlines that have aircraft parked in the evening, and it can get as cold as 0 degrees, and they're alone with a flashlight and some tools in the middle of a runway. Maybe that person has a problem. Do you know about that? So it really having a becoming a safety person involves much more than just having the safety the safety theory. There's more to it, and be always open-minded and always open to hear and to listen, and to connect. As a safety guy, you want to build the trust. Although uh, one of my colleagues says that if people don't like you, it's because you're doing your job, because
Yeah.
you need to challenge,
I
but it's also important to gain the trust of these people, but not to be able to overpass some things, but on the contrary, for them to report. You have to have reporting. If you don't have reporting, you might not know what's happening. So it's very important to have those concepts in mind.
Thank you so much for that valuable information. It's been great speaking with you. I know the audience has questions as well. So, Chris, would you like to begin the Q&A for the session and hear what the audience may want to ask Santiago?
I will. Thank you, Krista. And thank
Thank
you,
you.
Santiago. Great answers. In fact, you piqued my interest in everything you said. As you would recognize, there's so much overlap and commonalities between the risk profession and the safety profession.
Right.
So maybe we'll get a chance to chat on a few before we close this
Absolutely,
out.
Chris.
We have a little more than 10 minutes left. But let me go to some audience questions, beginning with a question from Joseph, which is, what does the typical flow chart look like in strategic decision making in aircraft manufacturing?
Okay, so I can tell you from a nervous safety standpoint, we have the CEO and then his board, and then below all the different areas, training, engineering, commercial, and you have safety. And as part of of safety, you have some of the members of the board that are part of the safety board of Airbus. So that's why for Airbus to have had such an effective safety program, it's because of that independence. Like I said before, by having this independence, we within our safety department, we have a team that connects with engineering. So if we, through these reporting lines that I was sharing with you, or through the information that we get from Skywise or from different resources that we have, we're able to monitor and identify if there are any trends or if there are any things that might need an extra look. And when we identify this from the safety, we connect with our engineering and try to see it. If there's something that we definitely see from a safety standpoint that we cannot, that we need to raise our hand and stop, we're able to do that because we're independent. That independency, it's crucial to have an effective safety program. Like I said, this reports directly to the CEO. So for the CEO, there's a no-brainer when my safety guy says that we need to stop, we need to stop.
So, just as an adjunct to that, what kind of a culture would you say Airbus has? How would you define it?
I see that we have in general, it's a very open culture. I have I partner a lot with my different colleagues that support the airlines, and um, we are able to partner if we need to address something. We have a good communication and a good way on being able to solve something. So I would say, like every organization has an area of improvement. We'll welcome it, but I think that what Airbus has right now in place and what we are constantly seeking for and we're being trained for, I think it's going the right path on improving our way of managing and addressing situations, and that makes us that we have a very solid safety culture.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Let's take a question here from Constantine, who wants to know, can you elaborate on how Airbus incorporates additive manufacturing into engine parts and windows, considering the brittleness of 3D printed aviation parts?
So, Constantine, I am going to apologize on that. I'm not an engineer, and I'm not involved very much in the manufacturing side of the business. I do know we have some components and some parts that are being done in our 3D labs. So yeah, we do have them, but to what extent I cannot precisely answer that.
Okay, no worries, Santiago. Amy asks, with the research and development of autonomous aircraft operations, what decisions need to be made now to proactively ensure the safety of both product and people?
Well, that depends. So, of course, you have autonomous operations happening mostly in the military. If your question involves autonomous operation with passengers, we are not, at least in the short, medium, or long term, we are not seeing that happening. And like I said before, anything that we will develop or that we will engage in, safety will be first. And for us, having two pilots in the cabin, it's a need. And anything that we would do is just enhance the way that our cabin is to help our pilots. It's pretty much to help them improve their rest time periods, but to help them and give them all the aids to operate aircraft safely.
So if I heard you right, you don't see robots flying planes even in the long run.
Maybe when I'm retiring, probably. I still have I
You hope
still
you're
have
retired, right?
I
hey,
want to see that.
look, I to be and this is just a personal idea. And of course market is the one that will manage this, but I see my little kids, and I'm happy that probably when they are teenagers, they will not be driving. Now, as a parent, I'm worried when they are on the street and crazy drivers. Maybe in 10 years we will have autonomous driving. I would like that. So the next generation, they will be used to that. Like well, you see, like we see trains that are not managed, but we're talking about planes. Just the perspective of having a plane that no one's in at the front, just from a perspective standpoint, I don't see it that it will be successful. Um, and I mean, I have even friends that are calling me before getting on a plane and saying, "Look, I am flying this old plane that has uh, turboprop engines,
Yeah.
and they are brand new ATRs. So the just even thinking of having autonomous aircraft, I think for the commercial, the market is not there yet. But maybe again for my kids, maybe they will. And enjoy that. But again, from the plans that Airbus has, we have a backlog of 8,000 planes to be delivered in the next 20 years. And those aircraft are two pilot planes that will be flown by two pilots.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think your prognostication is probably not far off. I mean, I've been watching the autonomous vehicle developments for years, and they had predicted that we would all be driving autonomous cars by now. So obviously, that's not happening,
Yeah.
and may not happen for some time from now. Here's a question from, says anonymous. I think that's only because we don't have their name. Are there any unique safety management systems that Airbus has implemented for aircraft operations in the Caribbean and in Latin America?
Uh, well, we have an SMS plan as an OEM, and with this is pretty much monitoring and making sure that any challenges that our operators might be having for them to be addressed and identified through the right channels within Airbus. and that's part of our SMS aside from the support team. So yes, we do have an internal SMS that seeks to provide support and making sure that any challenge or any issue that an airline is having is being solved by the appropriate people.
Okay, very good. Um, this is relative to Skywise. The questioner is asking, is it accessible, the data, to internal employees only, or can the public access the data too? If so, is it a subscription-based um, tool?
So yeah, the answer would be no. This is an only between a customer and Airbus product, and it's only being used for the customer that requires this service.
Okay, very good. Ron asks, Santiago, thank you for always being so supportive to Embry-Riddle. Your talents and wisdom are greatly appreciated. Had to get that in, even though there's no question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Vibor asks, to what extent have the skills you've learned in your days of being an aviation student carried on to your professional role in Airbus today?
Wow, that's great. And I want to give you I guess one of the main highlights of being an Embry-Riddle alumni is that wherever you go, you will be seen because you are an Eagle. In terms of the education, and also if you see some colleagues from other organizations and they know you're an Eagle, they will like you better than the guy that didn't go to Riddle. That's so that's a tip there. But yeah, for me, I mean, Embry-Riddle gave me the skills, the base for my knowledge, and it also gave me a lot of the networking. So your network, it's so important for you to network as much as you can, and your network starts in school. Actually, one of my best friends, he works for Airbus, and for things of life, I one of my colleagues that I have in my safety department, I met 10 years before joining Airbus, and he's my colleague at Airbus. So he gave a good word for me when I was in for the job. So you never know. One of the things that I love that my boss says who I admire, and he's one of my mentors, and he's a great man. He says, uh, every day is your interview day, so you never know who you will meet later in life. So it's important for you to keep that in mind, um, and um, and have good values, be good person, because it's a very small industry. Probably the person that you might have a difficulty today, in a few years, that will be your boss, or that person that you helped once, that person might be your boss. So it's a very small industry, but Riddle, it's a great place. So take advantage of it. I am very jealous when I what I see that Embry-Riddle has done in the past 20 years, improving the program and having, I mean, worldwide campus. Oh my God, I wish I would have been more involved with worldwide campus because it's huge now, and everything that you guys are doing. So I just want to congratulate you, all the staff, Dr. Sharma, Dr. Petruscu, and all of you for everything that you guys are doing. But enjoy and take advantage that Embry-Riddle is a great place.
Very good. Thank you for your time, Santiago. And with that, we are up almost against the hour, so I'm going to hand it back to Dean Sharma to close us out.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Krista, for leading this forum. Just fantastic set of questions, amazing. So, a round of applause to both of you. Thank you both. And to you, my friend Santiago, thank you so much. What a wonderful conversation this was, looking into the future. I didn't get a question in, but I wanted to see, when I could be like the Jetsons, Santiago. Maybe you and I meet personally, and
Yeah.
and we could just kind of go from here to Asia in about 3 hours' time. So I'm looking forward to that, that
Well,
private conversation. But thank you.
of course.
Thank you for providing us with your expertise, with your knowledge, your tremendous and valuable insights into the complexities. Love the culture at Airbus. When a safety person says stop, it's stop. Everything stops. That kind of empowerment is truly impressive, particularly obviously in the safety arena. So your perspective, what Airbus is doing, what you're doing with them in balancing safety, business risks, in innovation, it's really, there's a lot for us to absorb as a college and see how we can integrate that better in our curriculum as well moving forward. So we're looking forward to some future conversations with you. I hope you'll be open to that. And finally, as an alum of Embry-Riddle, let me just say we thank you and we applaud you for the work that you're doing with a world-class organization and keeping the skies and everyone who flies a safer place to be. So thank you from the bottom of our collective hearts for keeping the skies safer place. So again, Chris, thank you. Krista, thank you for your moderation. Wonderful. Santiago, thank you again. I wish you all a pleasant day. And to all of you joining today's event, thank you as well. We invite you to join us for our next Vantage Point discussion in May, not too far away, and encourage you to visit the EROW YouTube channel, where you'll find our on-demand recordings of the past events as well as this event. Once again, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Santiago. Thank you, Krista. Thank you, Chris. And thank you to our audience, wonderful audience. We look forward to seeing you soon at our next session. Everyone stay well. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.